Welcome to the Troubleshooting the SEP Cloud Portal lesson of the Symantec Endpoint Protection Cloud Troubleshooting training course. This is the Troubleshooting the SEP Cloud Portal lesson. In this lesson, you learn how to obtain important error IDs. You also learn how to troubleshoot problems users may encounter during initial setup, logon, and subscription enablement. This is the How to Obtain Session IDs topic. After completing the topic, you will be able to obtain session, error, and other important IDs used by back-end support. If there is a problem with SEP Cloud, there will often be a session ID or error ID displayed. If an ID is displayed, it should be captured for future reference. As you can see, the session IDs and error IDs are long and complex. Therefore, you should have the customer copy and paste the ID to you in an email or other appropriate form. If you are contacted by development for further information, development may refer to them as X-EPMP-session IDs, as that is what appears in back-end logs. This is the Troubleshooting Account Creation topic. After completing this topic, you will be able to perform basic account creation troubleshooting. Just a quick review of the steps the administrator must take to provision a new account. Ultimately, the administrator is sent a success or fail verification email. If the verification email indicates a successful provisioning, the administrator should follow the rest of the steps included in the email to complete the process. You will want to be aware of the following when troubleshooting account creation problems. Account creation must be done by the company admin upon initial sign-on. Account creation starts with a free trial of SEP Cloud. An account creation automatically creates a single sign-on or SSO account as part of the provisioning flow. The most common cause of errors that the customer will run into when they click the Create Account button will be errors regarding non-unique values, the most common of which will be a non-unique company name. Note the details in the slide as to what makes a company name unique, and guide the customer through modifying the company name so that it is unique. The fact that the name check ignores spaces and capitalization may cause confusion on the part of some customers. If making a company name unique becomes a challenge, adding a period may be a simple fix. If a provisioning failure email is received by the administrator, try to reprovision the account. If a failure email is received again, or not at all, obtain the customer's email, company name, session ID if available, any reasons listed if available, and escalate the request to product support. This is the Troubleshooting Logon Issues topic. After completing this topic, you will be able to troubleshoot logon issues. Users may see two types of errors when logging in. The first type is a single sign-on or SSO error, and it contains a forgot password link. The second type is a SEP Cloud account portal error, where a user may be prompted to create an account if none exists. The slide contains a sample of each type of error. For SEP Cloud portal logon errors, clear the browser cache or cookies and try again. If it persists, collect the user's information, email address, company name, session ID if available, and escalate the case to product support. For SSO errors, try the same steps as for SEP Cloud portal errors. If the steps fail to solve the problem, try the Forgot Your Password link to ensure they have the correct email address and password. If the problems continue, get the relevant customer information and escalate the case to product support. When troubleshooting identity providers, such as Azure or Symantec VIP Access Manager, you have the additional step of ensuring the identity provider's website is functioning and that the initial identity provider settings configured in SEP Cloud were entered properly. You can confirm the latter by ensuring that SEP Cloud Sync with the identity provider is functioning. For more details on troubleshooting IDP errors, see the Troubleshooting User Creation and Management lesson. This is the Troubleshooting Subscription Issues topic. After completing the topic, you will be able to troubleshoot subscription and licensing problems. Customers no longer input their own license or serial number. When a license is purchased, the serial number is added to their account or a new account is created for them. They must use the Buy Now button in the product to purchase and add a license to their existing trial account. This will expire the trial account and activate the new license. As a best practice, use the following guidelines for license purchases. With a trial account, purchase from within the product using Buy Now. Using the Symantec.com site will result in a duplicate account that cannot be accessed. Ensure that the email address and company name used are identical to the trial account when purchasing a license to avoid creating a duplicate account. There is no license grace period. When the license expires, clients will show a license error and turn off all device protection. The admin can only access the subscriptions page to use the Buy Now. The account will remain in the state until a license is purchased. Purchase a license before expiration to avoid a loss of device protection. If licenses are purchased from a partner, a customer will not be able to manage users in the SEP Cloud portal. All user management must be done through the partner portal. Another issue Symantec has occasionally seen is that the licensing information does not appear in the product subscription page. If the subscription does not appear, try clearing the browser cache and refreshing the page. Have an administrator wait and then try again, as server-side licensing cache is refreshed periodically and upon application of a new subscription. Gather the email and company name and escalate the case to support if that does not resolve the issue. In this lesson, you learned how to obtain important error IDs. You also learned how to troubleshoot problems users may encounter during initial setup, logon, and subscription enablement. Welcome to the Troubleshooting User Creation and Management lesson of the Symantec Endpoint Protection Cloud Troubleshooting Training course. This is the Troubleshooting User Creation and Management lesson. In this lesson, you will learn how to troubleshoot Azure Active Directory synchronization, VIP Access Manager, and Okta configurations in SEP Cloud. This is the Troubleshooting Azure Active Directory synchronization topic. After completing the topic, you will be able to troubleshoot Azure Active Directory synchronization. When an Active Directory synchronized user connects to the SEP Cloud portal to sign in, they enter their email address just like normal. SEP Cloud then evaluates the domain portion of their email address, and if it's found to be synchronized with Active Directory, it will forward them to the Microsoft Azure login page. Once the user has been forwarded to the Microsoft Azure login page, they'll log in with their Azure Active Directory credentials. Clicking Sign In then takes the user to their SEP Cloud portal page. Things to know about Active Directory synchronization. The initial Active Directory synchronization job is scheduled to run 57 minutes after the administrator enables Azure Active Directory synchronization for the first time. This allows the administrator time to configure the distribution list. The administrator can configure Azure authorization only for his own domain, which is taken from his email address. SEP Cloud imports only the user accounts with email addresses that match the Azure domain. The account used to create Azure Active Directory on the Microsoft portal will not be imported and cannot be used for authorization. The Azure application key expires every 1 or 2 years and should be updated on the Azure configuration page. Some suggested troubleshooting steps include: check that the application key provided by Microsoft Azure has not expired. It is provided for 1 or 2 years and should be updated accordingly on the Azure configuration page. Try to limit the amount of groups you are synchronizing to locate any problematic distribution lists. Clear cookies for the SEP Cloud login page and the Microsoft login page. Sometimes cookies can cause problems when different Azure accounts are used on the same computer. This is the Troubleshooting VIP Access Manager configuration topic. After completing this topic, you will be able to troubleshoot the VIP Access Manager configuration. Symantec VIP Access Manager authentication allows SEP Cloud users to authenticate with their VIP Access Manager credentials. It is enabled and configured in the SEP Cloud portal under Settings, Identity Provider. In general, setting up VIP Access Manager involves generating a new certificate in VIP Access Manager and then providing information from VIP Access Manager to SEP Cloud, and then providing information from SEP Cloud back to VIP Access Manager. To access the VIP Access Configuration page in SEPcloud Portal, go to Settings, Identity Provider, VIP Access Manager section. The Sign-in URL, Sign-out URL, IDP Entity ID, and Verification Certificate from VIP Access Manager need to be provided to SEPcloud in order for SEPcloud to communicate with VIP and display the correct pages for login and logout. Detailed steps are as follows. To set up VIP Access Manager, in VIP Access Manager, generate a new certificate and then export it to a .cer file. Next, create a SEPcloud application from the template in VIP Access Manager. In the advanced options, set Override SAML Issuer and include certificate that you generated. From the VIP Access Manager application, get the sign-in URL, sign-out URL, and IDP Entity ID data to enter into SEPcloud. In SEPcloud, get the target URL, ACS URL, and SP Identity ID data to enter into VIP Access Manager. In SEPcloud, upload the .cer certificate file. For more details and information on VIP Access Manager configuration, please refer to the Symantec VIP Access Manager Administrator's Guide. Note the following about VIP Access Manager. When the end user logs into the SEPcloud portal for the first time, they are redirected to VIP for authentication. Once authenticated, the user record is created in SEPcloud with a default role of user and in the default user group. The user is also immediately directed to the SEPcloud portal where they can start enrolling devices with their ID. The user creation consumes a license. Users may see two types of errors when logging in. The first type is a VIP error and it contains a Forgot Your Password link. The second type is a SEPcloud portal error. Users may not differentiate between the two errors as they are both from Symantec sites with Symantec branding. The slide contains a sample of each type. Troubleshooting tips include determining where the error is occurring. If the error occurs on the VIP page, the problem is with VIP or the configuration of VIP. If the error is displayed in the SEPcloud portal, then the problem is on the SEPcloud side. The first step in troubleshooting is to determine that all VIP settings in the SEPcloud portal are correct. Verify the sign-in URL, sign-out URL, IDP Entity ID, and verification certificate entries. Also, confirm that the user correctly created and configured the SEPcloud connector in Symantec VIP Access Manager. The user is recommended to copy and paste these values from VIP as they are long and complex. This is the Troubleshooting Okta configuration topic. After completing this topic, you will be able to troubleshoot the Okta configuration. Using Okta as an identity provider allows SEPcloud users to authenticate with their Okta credentials. This integration is enabled and configured in the SEPcloud portal under Settings, Identity Provider. In general, setting up Okta involves generating a new certificate, configuring SEPcloud as an application in Okta, and then establishing communication between Okta and SEPcloud using specific information. Like other SAML configurations, the first step of troubleshooting is to determine that all Okta settings in the SEPcloud portal are correct. Sign-in URL, sign-out URL, IDP Entity ID, and verification certificate. Also confirm that the SEPcloud application has been correctly created and configured in Okta. In this lesson, you learned how to troubleshoot Azure Active Directory synchronization, VIP Access Manager, and Okta configurations in SEPcloud. Welcome to the Troubleshooting Device Enrollment lesson of the Symantec Endpoint Protection Cloud Troubleshooting Training course. This is the Troubleshooting Device Enrollment lesson. In this lesson overall, you will learn about the process of device enrollment across various supported operating systems. As each operating system operates differently, in the process we will look at troubleshooting steps pertinent to each. We will also examine other troubleshooting steps related to device enrollment through a look at topics such as APNS certificate management and general MDM concepts. This is the Enrollment Stages and General Enrollment Troubleshooting topic. After completing this topic, you will understand how enrollment stages work for various operating systems and know how to use them for general troubleshooting. There are different stages of enrollment for different devices. For Windows, there is a security client installation and activation. Mac OS X has an MDM profile installation and security client installation and activation. For Android, Device Administrator is initiated with security client installation and activation, while iOS requires an MDM profile installation only. The general process is initiated when the device contacts SupCloud to begin enrollment. The required security client or profiles are downloaded and installed with the targeted protection policy applied. Once completed, the device status is updated in the SupCloud console. Enrolled devices have a status that indicates their current level of security. This can be viewed by an administrator from the Device Details page or the Device Status dashboard. Device status will be reported as pending until enrollment is completed and protection policies have been applied. Enrollment reasons will be listed for the pending status only and will vary by operating system. You can view the table of pending device status criteria listed by operating system in the Symantec Help Center accessible from the SupCloud console. If a device is in a pending state in the console, you can also check the Events tab for that client and see if there's an enrolled event listed. If there is, then the device is enrolled, otherwise, it is still enrolling. When troubleshooting a pending status enrollment state, follow the reasons listed in the device details screen. In some cases, you may simply need to wait for the device to complete enrollment and update device status. This will usually occur after initial device scan and after the security client has reported updated status, typically within a few minutes. Should you need to investigate further, you can check enrollment status on the SupCloud security client as well. Open the client on the device and navigate to Security History, Enrollment. Failed and completed actions will be listed with HTTP error code as applicable, with further details listed on the right-hand side. Other troubleshooting tips include, for Android, verify that the security client agent is installed on the device. Opening the agent will show the current status of the agent. View the Logs tab of the agent for further details. For iOS, on the device, under Settings, General, Device Management, or Profiles, verify that the Symantec Management Profile is installed. To determine that the policy has been received, open the Management Profile to view installed restrictions and accounts. For Mac OS X, under System Preferences, Profiles, verify that the Management Profile is installed. Policy profile settings will also be visible. As with Windows, you can also view the activity of the installed security client. And for Windows, verify that the security client is installed and can be launched using the desktop shortcut. Navigate to the Client UI History to view a successful log entry for operational state collection and submission to the management server. This is the general process for unenrollment of devices, which will vary in detail by operating system. You'll need to unenroll a device from the console during enrollment troubleshooting, in the event a user leaves the company or when the registered device is no longer in service. Unenrollment is typically initiated from the admin console as the primary use case. Users can self-enroll both personal and corporate devices, but can unenroll personal devices only, not corporate devices. Unenrollment deletes management profiles on iOS and OS X devices and returns security client policies' default settings. Unenrollment results in the client being unmanaged, and it will no longer communicate with the server. Removal of the security client is a manual step. A user-initiated unenroll of a device while the device is offline will result in the device not being unenrolled. It will eventually time out from the system. This is the Troubleshooting APNS Certificate Management topic. After completing the topic, you will understand best practices and troubleshooting tips for APNS certificate management. The Apple Push Notification Service, or APNS, is a service created by Apple used to forward notifications of third-party applications to Apple devices, both iOS and Mac. Notifications may include security policies, alerts, badges, and other updates. In order to manage Apple devices, you must have a valid Apple signed certificate imported into SepCloud. SepCloud refers to the AP&S certificate as the security certificate. Certificate installation is completed by following the included wizard in Settings, Mobile Device Management, Security Certificate Management in the SepCloud portal. After importing the signed certificate, you'll see the status of the certificate along with the remaining time before it expires and the Apple ID used to create it. The security certificate must be renewed annually. Best practices for managing the certificate include never letting the security certificate expire, renew the certificate before that happens, create an Apple ID that is used only for AP&S certificate management, use a shared mailbox address for the Apple ID, do not use a personal account. This avoids confusion and loss of access if a person is no longer with the company when it is time to renew the certificate. Be sure to record the Apple ID and password. It will be needed for renewal. Before the security certificate expires, SepCloud will alert the administrator. The consequences of letting a certificate expire are devices continue to operate normally, but they no longer trust AP&S commands and notifications. SepCloud can no longer monitor compliance settings, send commands, or change configuration settings. All Apple devices enrolled with that certificate are effectively unmanaged. An expired certificate cannot be renewed. You must create a new certificate, and your users must re-enroll all of their Apple devices. To renew a certificate before expiration, follow the steps previously used in the certificate wizard in the SepCloud console, selecting the option to renew the original certificate during Step 2 in the Apple portal. Though it is unlikely you will encounter too many issues with the AP&S certificate process, there can be instances where error messages may appear. These are some potential error messages. The certificate you are trying to upload has expired. Check the certificate file or generate a new one and try again. Replacing an existing certificate will prevent you from being able to manage all Apple clients, effectively unenrolling them. You should renew rather than replace a certificate when possible. The certificate you are trying to upload is invalid. Check the certificate file or generate a new one and try again. The file may have been corrupted. Restart the process downloading the certificate signing request from the SepCloud portal. Additional potential error messages may include the Apple ID is required. The Apple ID must be a valid email address. Enter the same Apple ID, typically an email address, used to create the AP&S certificate. An internal error has occurred. Please try again. Repeat steps 1 through 3 of AP&S certificate upload. If the problem persists, gather email, company name, and session ID if available, and escalate the case to product support. Unable to download the certificate signing request, CSR, in Step 1, or cannot find the CSR, check the device downloads folder for the CSR file. This is the Troubleshooting the Mac Client topic. After completing the topic, you will be able to troubleshoot Mac enrollment and other issues. In order to manage Mac and iOS devices, an AP&S certificate must be set up in the SepCloud portal. Once the certificate is in place, you can begin Mac enrollment through the usual device enrollment invitation process. After choosing to enroll this device from the portal, you will be prompted to install the enrollment profile and the management profile. You must accept and install these profiles. Installing the management profile requires you to confirm the installation. Mac client installation uses the failsafe delivery, or FSD, which is a small download. When it runs, it pulls down the full installation package. This downloader is customized per download, meaning you cannot reuse the same one on multiple machines. You have to let it download the full package on each machine. The FSD uses a manifest file to customize it, as it is a generic stub application used by additional products as well. The download generally goes to the Downloads folder. It's a zip file that expands into a folder. Within this folder is the installer you'll need to run as well as the manifest files in their own hidden folder. All installations, including patches, require a restart. The product will not function properly until the restart is complete. The FSD will try and remove previous .cloud and Norton products. However, it will not remove Symantec endpoint protection. Product removal requires a second restart. You must enter an administrator password for installation, and you must install the management profile to complete MDM enrollment. To confirm that the required profile is installed, navigate to System Preferences, Profiles, and look for the installed management profile. If the user quits the application without letting activation complete, they must manually relaunch the application to complete activation. After 24 hours, if enrollment has not succeeded, the system will no longer attempt completion. You will need to uninstall the security client and attempt to re-enroll the device again. If the FSD fails to launch or complete, there are a few things that you can try. First, verify that the operating system is a compatible version. OS 10.9.5 and above is currently supported. Make sure file permissions in the locations listed are writable by the current user. Make sure no previous installations of older Norton or Symantec products exist, as utilizing the Mac Move to Trash uninstall doesn't work on older products. If all else fails, logs for support can be captured at the listed locations. Should you need to collect extensive troubleshooting data, here are the locations of common log files and key folder locations. The FSD uses the Apple installer to do the product installation. Logs for this are in var/log/install.log file. The FSD also writes its own logs to the listed locations. The Mac security client itself can also be used to resolve certain conditions. When in an at-risk state, a pop-up notification will alert the user and provide an option to Fix Now. Using this option does not override the applied security policy. If a feature is disabled by policy, Fix Now won't turn it on. It can be used to fix three kinds of errors. It enables features that should be turned on, runs live update if the definitions are too old, and runs a scan if it's been too long since the last scan. Trigger values for these events are set automatically and are not configurable. Use Symantec Help Center for further details on these events. Security client log files are written as SQLite database files. Files are located in listed locations. Log files are also visible from within the security client UI by navigating to Advanced Activity Security History. Logs can be saved for sending to technical support if required. Here is some information for your knowledge about the signature-based updates used in SEP Cloud. The antivirus definitions used are different from the Symantec Endpoint Protection product, utilizing a newer engine with different content. Common signatures are delivered to the client, with more rare detections being done in the cloud. Definitions are updated 4 times daily. Intrusion prevention definitions are also different from SEP, utilizing a newer engine with more frequent and different content. Changing the live update server is not currently supported, and the definitions themselves are not included with the product install, but are downloaded after enrollment completion. Customers do not control definition updates directly. This is an automated process controlled by SEP Cloud for ease of administration. For troubleshooting Mac client live update errors, in Safari, make sure http liveupdate.symantec.com can be reached. And you can inspect the listed log file location for any error messages as needed. Should you find a file not found error in this log, in most cases it indicates a server-side issue where the manifest is updated. It should resolve itself after an hour or two. This is the Troubleshooting the Windows Client topic. After completing the topic, you will be able to troubleshoot Windows enrollment and other issues. This is a review of the Windows user self-enrollment process. The user can self-enroll multiple devices by navigating to the user portal and clicking the option to enroll this device. That begins enrollment and download of the SEP Cloud installation files. Much like the Mac client, the Windows client also utilizes the fail-safe delivery or FSD mechanism for installation. Fail-safe delivery is a proprietary download manager that downloads and executes the client install package. If a machine is rebooted during download, download resumes automatically when the machine is restarted. If a machine is logged off during download, download resumes automatically after the subsequent login. If the FSD download fails completely, the user is directed to a web portal where the product can be downloaded. FSD provides installation support after download. FSD is downloaded when Start Enrollment is clicked or when a redistributable package is built. Logs for FSD are written to Program Data Symantec FSD Launcher with a date stamped log entry. If having difficulty with enrollment, be sure the device has connectivity to the noted URLs. Start Enrollment functionality requires connectivity to the Symantec.com URL noted. An inability to access the URL will cause the enrollment process icon to spin until timeout. Download also requires connectivity to the buy-download.norton.com URL. Errors in this connectivity will be written to a Program Data Symantec FSD Launcher date timestamp.log file. In order to fully troubleshoot installation failures, the following noted logs are needed. These should be collected as needed using the SymDiag tool referenced in another lesson in this troubleshooting module. The FSD process can also be exited using Windows Task Manager. The first troubleshooting action is to uninstall SEP Cloud, run removal tools, and reinstall the product. Ensure that removal always begins by uninstalling the product through Programs and Features. Should you need removal tools, the only removal tool required is the Norton removal tool, which can be downloaded from the included link. If the issue is with definitions or client activation, additional directories may need to be manually deleted. They are listed here for reference. If install and reinstall does not rectify the behavior, collect logs using SymDiag and submit to support, as some logging is not plain text and requires special tools to analyze. This is the Troubleshooting Windows Server topic. After completing the topic, you will understand options for enrolling the Windows Server operating system and know where to gather information for troubleshooting. Windows Server supported operating systems include Windows Server 2008 R2 Standard SP1, Windows Server 2012 R2 Standard, Windows Small Business Server 2011 Standard Edition, and Windows Server 2016. Installing SEP Cloud on a Windows server can only be done using a Windows installation package. The installation package can also be used for Windows desktops. SEP Cloud provides administrators optional tools for Windows Server and desktop client deployment. Using the included installation package, a SEP Cloud client can be built and distributed using internal tools or placed on an accessible file share or drive. The enrolled device will be associated to the default group, and the administrator can assign to individual users or transfer groups as required. The FSD downloads the installer.exe, .msi, and .mst files, which can be deployed via group policy, ITMS, or another software distribution tool. With the installation package, you can install the protection client directly on a device or use an Active Directory GPO. You can also install the package with Symantec IT Management Suite. To learn more about installing software with IT Management Suite, see the Software Management Solution 8.0 User Guide. When installing the protection client directly on a device, first put the package on a network share, USB device, or other share mechanism. On the device, run the SEP Cloud Setup command. This command automatically includes the information that the client needs to communicate with your environment. When installing the security client by pushing an Active Directory group policy object, create the group policy object as usual for software distribution. In addition to the .msi file, also include the .mst file. The MST file includes the tokens that must be passed to connect the security client to the SEP Cloud infrastructure. If the server option is grayed out in the SEP Cloud portal, make sure that the account contains server licenses under Portal, Settings, Subscriptions. This is the Understanding MDM topic. After completing the topic, you will have a better understanding of MDM and learn how SEP Cloud works with this management layer. Endpoint devices have changed significantly in the last few years, with changes ranging from how we provision applications, how we manage the devices, and even how we use the devices themselves, often combining personal and corporate data across multiple device platforms. For modern endpoints, platform vendors are providing their own management layer, with app stores being the preferred method for application acquisition and deployment, where applications and their data are largely separated from one another. Modern devices are often considered to be consumer-focused, containing large amounts of a user's personal information and data. The end user is an active participant in the onboarding process of a device, with them often having the ability to remove themselves from the management system, particularly when using a personal device that is allowed access to corporate resources. Modern endpoints work on a similar and yet slightly different set of rules, which requires developers to implement appropriate APIs, use platform-specific services, and development platforms. Apple provides an over-the-air management protocol which is used to communicate with a built-in management client on iOS and OS X. SEP Cloud must request our management agent to check in for policy, commands, and inventory. Google provides an on-device management API which requires a management agent that implements this API for communication. The SEP Cloud agent can check in with our solution on its own schedule to pick up new policy, commands, or to send inventory. Or we can also request our agent to check in for the latest updates. Windows 10 uses its own built-in MDM management component that communicates directly with the management server. In order to manage modern endpoints, SEP Cloud employs a software component called MDM Core. This protocol stack is responsible for implementing new device management features from Apple, Google, and Microsoft. It provides device enrollment, policy inventory, command, and application management features, supporting OS X, iOS, Android, Windows Phone, and Windows 10. In other words, it is the power behind MDM in SEP Cloud. During enrollment, MDM Core makes several calls to SEP Cloud to get a policy for the device. If this communication channel is broken or the information handed back is incorrect, enrollment will fail. Successful completion of enrollment is dependent on both the MDM Core and device being able to communicate with the vendor's push notification service, Apple APNS, Google GCM, and Windows WNS. Should you need to troubleshoot MDM enrollment or other MDM-related issues, this is the general information that you will need to gather for support. A synopsis of the issue, time the issue occurred or started occurring, device types and numbers of devices affected, customers affected if applicable, steps to reproduce if known, specific errors seen if known, and symptoms observed, steps taken to diagnose, including system changes such as restarted services, removed devices, and so on, and device logs if available. This is the Troubleshooting iOS Device Enrollment topic. After completing the topic, you will be able to troubleshoot iOS device enrollment issues. iOS device enrollment is a bit unique. It is agentless. It uses Apple's built-in MDM support for iOS and OS X, utilizing Symantec's MDM component to enroll and manage the device. There is no security agent on iOS devices. If there are issues with iOS device enrollment, the first step in troubleshooting is to unenroll and re-enroll the device. There are two steps you should follow. First, remove the device management profile from the device following the steps listed. Then, be sure to unenroll the device from the SEP Cloud portal as well, as the device may be listed in a pending state. If this does not resolve the issue, you may be able to gather further information from the device system logs. As there is no agent on the device, system logs can only be gathered by using Xcode, a development environment for the Mac OS X operating system. Connect the device to the Xcode console by following Apple best practices, and look for log messages from the profiled process as shown. This is the Troubleshooting Windows 10 Enrollment topic. After completing the topic, you will be able to troubleshoot Windows 10 enrollment issues. We have previously taken a look at Windows enrollment. However, Windows 10 devices are unique and require a closer look. Windows 10 uses a built-in MDM agent, which is not present in previous versions of Windows. Installation can be initiated from SEP Cloud, as is done with other devices, or directly from the built-in device agent itself. Enrollment requires that either the Exchange auto-discovery service is enabled, or use of an enrollment URL. The agent can be either manually or silently installed, and works for Windows 10 PCs, tablets, and phones. Windows 10 Phone installation is similar in function, but visually different, and the security client is not installed on Windows 10 Phone. When choosing to enroll directly from the device agent, the Windows 10 built-in MDM agent can be found in Device Settings. Selecting the option to Enroll into Device Management begins the process. The user is then prompted to connect to work or school. Enter the domain email address used to log into SEP Cloud. If Exchange Auto Discovery is disabled, an additional URL is required. Enter mdm.securitycloud.symantec.com. The enrollment process will then proceed as normal, with the user choosing a company-owned or personal device and signing into SEP Cloud. Auto Discovery allows the end user to enroll Windows 10 devices in MDM without entering the enrollment URL. Configuration requires a domain controller and DNS server. The service is established through the creation of a CNAME record on the DNS server. For SEP Cloud, MDM enrollment requires a CNAME record in the format of enterpriseenrollment.youremaildomain.com. The required FQDN entry is securitycloud.symantec.com. Should you need to troubleshoot enrollment issues on Windows 10, here are some recommended steps. Enrollment may fail when entering the URL for the enrollment server. Ensure that the client can connect to mdm.securitycloud.symantec.com and that it has been entered correctly. If the client is not appearing, verify whether it is an MDM enrollment or a security client installation failure. This can be done by checking device event logs, looking for an enrollment completion entry, or by examining device installation logs located in Program Data Norton Installer. If the process proceeded far enough to create Norton installation logs, the MDM enrollment was successful. If the security client failed to install, but the enrollment was successful, attempt another installation, remembering that it can take some time for enrollment and a secure status to be completed. MDM will not install properly if the Windows installation redistributable package is used. For Windows 10, use the operating system built-in MDM installation process. Installation cannot be initiated as a standard user or with a domain or built-in administrator account. If the enrollment is attempted using a standard user account, the user will be prompted with the error, "System policies prevent you from connecting to a work or school account. Contact your support person for more information." If the enrollment is attempted using a built-in or domain administrator account, they will be prompted with a "This app can't open" dialog box. To proceed with installation, use an administrator account that's not a built-in administrator. This is the Troubleshooting Android Device Enrollment topic. After completing the topic, you will be able to troubleshoot Android device enrollment issues. Android devices also have their own unique process which must be followed for successful enrollment. For management of Android, SEP Cloud requires the installation of the SEP Cloud client, which is downloaded from the Google Play Store. The security client is used to enroll and manage the device and is responsible for threat protection functionality on Android. How can you tell if SEP Cloud has installed correctly? Begin by checking the SEP Cloud app itself. Opening the app to the device page should reveal app feature icons indicating that it is installed and functioning. The device page only shows call blocking on phones. Tablets will not show this feature. You should also look for an enrolled entry in the SEP Cloud device status page indicating that device management has also completed. If needed, you can verify the SEPcloud licensing information using the About Product Info screen in the SEPcloud application. Should initial enrollment fail, unenroll and re-enroll to begin the process again as you would for other operating systems. Should you need to gather additional log information from the device itself, there are a few options. The SEPcloud app itself contains some limited activity logs. These will mostly be useful when verifying application and policy configuration setting functionality. Logs are accessible via the app's menu option and logs activities for live update and malware scan functionality. Device-level logs including debug logging are limited and require that additional tools be used in their collection. To collect device logs, you must first have developer options enabled on the device itself and install and run the Android Debug Bridge, or ADB, to collect device logs. The Android Debug Bridge is a component of the Google SDK that can be downloaded and installed for free following Google best practices and documentation. Third-party software updates, such as browser updates or Google Play Store updates, can affect behaviors of Web Protection and App Advisor for Google Play. If any features are not behaving as expected after third-party updates, open a case with Symantec support after verifying the interoperability issue. To troubleshoot interoperability issues such as browser or service load failures, applications failing to launch or hook, first verify that the issue is related to SEPcloud by using a force stop on the SEPcloud app, or by uninstalling SEPcloud directly and seeing if the issue still persists. In this lesson, you learned how enrollment stages work for various operating systems and how to use them for general troubleshooting. You learned some best practices and troubleshooting tips for AP&S certificate management, and we looked at troubleshooting enrollment and other issues across general MDM, as well as the Mac, Windows, Windows Server, iOS, Windows 10, and Android operating systems. Welcome to the Troubleshooting Policy Settings lesson of the Symantec Endpoint Protection Cloud Troubleshooting Training course. This is the Troubleshooting Policy Settings lesson. In this lesson, you will learn where to obtain further information about device scans. You will also gain a deeper understanding of the device encryption process and learn how to gather further information for troubleshooting, and learn about specific setting restrictions for email access policy configuration. This is the Troubleshooting Scan Scheduling topic. After completing the topic, you will know where to gather further information about device scans. What is scan scheduling? The scan schedule setting lets you specify when to scan your device. For example, you could schedule a scan to occur once a day at 11 a.m., schedule a scan to occur every Friday at 4 p.m., schedule a scan to occur on Mondays and Fridays at 4:30 p.m. Scans can be configured for all devices or servers only, and scheduled scans will kick off whether the machine is idle or not, and this cannot be configured at this time. Scan scheduling is currently only supported for the Windows operating system. Device scans run in the background and are not visible to the user. If you need to verify scan status, use log entries in the SEPcloud client history to view completion status. This is the Troubleshooting Encryption topic. After completing the topic, you will have a deeper understanding of the device encryption process and know where to go to gather further information. What is SEPcloud device encryption? Device encryption manages the encryption of devices not already encrypted by the user or another third-party tool. It is included in SEPcloud as a limited time trial and can be purchased as an add-on subscription. Managed device encryption is a feature that enables administrators to enable and disable device encryption as well as retrieve the device's recovery keys. For Windows, encryption and decryption is part of BitLocker protection built into the Windows operating system and is managed through SEPcloud using a BitLocker plugin. Apple encryption and decryption is part of File Vault 2 protection built into OS X and is managed through MDM commands sent to the device. This feature applies to Windows, Workstation version only, OS X, and Android. How does SEPcloud encryption protection work? When a user gets locked out of their encrypted device, the operating system will display a recovery key screen. The user contacts the SEP Cloud administrator, who validates their identity and identifies which device requires the recovery key. The user reads the first few characters of the recovery key identifier. The admin locates the user's device, finds the matching recovery key identifier, and selects a button to reveal the recovery key in the SEP Cloud console. The administrator then sends a copy of the recovery key via a separate channel, such as an email or SMS message, which the user can access. The user enters the recovery key and regains access to their device. Recovery key retention and licensing behavior. On-device uninstall or unenroll from the console, decryption will be done asynchronously. SEP Cloud keeps the recovery key in case of decryption failure, but releases the encryption license seat. If the same device re-enrolls, SEP Cloud will clear the recovery keys, and the re-enrolled device will send updated keys. In order to use encryption for Windows systems, the device must have a Trusted Platform Module or TPM chip enabled. To verify this requirement, open a command prompt on the device and type tpm.msc. If enabled, TPM status will indicate the TPM is ready for use. The following is an overview of the process for Windows encryption deployment. Once the administrator applies an encryption policy to a user's device, the policy is propagated via a SPOC, or Single Point of Contact, bump, which is a notification mechanism for the device client. The encryption policy is then retrieved from the server, and the device client calls the BitLocker Windows API to start encryption. The device client then sends the recovery key to the server for safekeeping. All of these steps are done in the background, and there are no signs or notifications that the process is started or completed. Should you need to gather further details about the encrypted status of a Windows desktop, open a command prompt as an administrator and use the command shown above to gather further device status details. The following is an overview of the process for Mac encryption deployment. Once the administrator applies an encryption policy to a user's device, the policy sends the request to MDM, which is a notification and management mechanism for the Mac device client. The device receives a notification and checks in with the management server. The encryption policy is then pushed to the device client via MDM, which starts encryption. The device client then sends the recovery key to the server for safekeeping. These steps are invisible to the user unless the user logs out or restarts the device, where upon login, the user is shown the recovery key. Should you need to gather further details about the encrypted status of a Mac desktop, begin by verifying that the device has received the MDM management as well as the encryption, labeled Device Protection, policy profile. The MDM management profile allows the device to be managed, with the policy profiles directing the individual device settings and controls. These profiles will be found in System Preferences, Profiles, and will include further details, including the state of device encryption, where File Vault settings should show enabled as on. If the required MDM profile is not installed, enrollment was not successfully completed, and you will need to attempt device enrollment again. If the device protection profile is not installed, or the File Vault settings do not show the correct state, be sure to verify the last connection time or event log status of the device in the SEP Cloud console to ensure that the device has recently checked in to receive the updated policy. For the Mac operating system only, disabling encryption does not automatically decrypt the device. This needs to be manually performed via File Vault, which can be accessed in System Preferences, Security and Privacy, File Vault. Use the Turn Off File Vault button to disable encryption. This requires administrator-level privileges to unlock and execute. This is the Access Policy Restrictions topic. After completing this topic, you will learn about specific setting restrictions for access policy configuration. The email access policy lets the enterprise control if and how users can access company email on their mobile devices. The policy not only controls basic access configurations such as server and domain name, but also includes security controls, such as preventing a user from moving company mail to a personal account and blocking access when a device is compromised or at risk. Email access policies can be created for mobile devices and can be adjusted depending on whether devices are personal or corporate owned. There are a few restrictions to be aware of when setting the email access policy. If you are having issues getting the policy applied to a device, be sure to verify the following configuration restrictions. You can apply only one email access policy per group. Only Exchange Active Sync accounts are supported. The email access policy is only supported on devices associated with a user, and the user's SEP Cloud login email account is assumed to be the Exchange email account. If Symantec MDM is disabled, email access policies are not supported. The email access policy is supported for iOS and Samsung Android devices only. With a wireless access policy, you can configure access to a corporate wireless network and restrict it based on the device status or ownership. The policy not only controls basic access configurations such as network name and security type, but includes security controls that block network access when a device is compromised or at risk. There are a few restrictions to be aware of when setting the wireless access policy. You can apply only one wireless access policy per group. If Symantec MDM is disabled, wireless access policies are not supported. The wireless access policy is supported for iOS and Samsung Android devices, Windows, and Mac. In this lesson, you learned how to obtain further information about device scans. You gained a deeper understanding of the device encryption process and learned where to go to gather further information. And we completed this lesson with a look at specific setting restrictions for access policy configuration. Welcome to the Using Support Tools lesson of the Symantec Endpoint Protection Cloud Troubleshooting training course. This is the Using Support Tools lesson. In this lesson, you will learn where to obtain and how to use the Symantec or SymDiag log gathering utility. You will also review methods for properly removing a Windows and Mac client and learn about a few additional support tools. This is the log gathering utility topic. After completing the topic, you will be able to obtain and know how to use the Symantec SymDiag log gathering utility. Symantec Diagnostic Tool, or SymDiag, is a multi-product diagnostic utility designed for identifying common issues, gathering data for support-assisted troubleshooting, and providing links to other customer self-help and support resources. SymDiag also provides licensing and maintenance status for some Symantec products, and aids in the discovery of potential malware using the included threat analysis scan. The SymDiag utility was previously known as Symantec Help, or SymHelp. The Symantec Diagnostic Tool is available for download from the Symantec Support Knowledge Base using the referenced URL. SymDiag supports installation on Windows and Linux operating systems. After downloading, move the executable to the target system and install. After installation, choose the function for SymDiag to perform. Threat analysis scans for potential threats on a system. Self-help scans for common issues and install requirements. And selecting data collection allows you to gather logs for installation or performance issues used to open and update a support case. You will also find links to additional resources available as well. Using SymDiag is an easy process. Simply follow the wizard after selecting the Endpoint Protection Cloud product. Once you have made your selections and reproduced your issue, you can use SymDiag to directly open a support case and submit your log files. This is the Windows Client Removal topic. After completing this topic, you will be able to properly remove a Windows client installation. Should you need to remove an installation of Endpoint Protection Cloud, begin by attempting to directly uninstall the program using the Uninstall or Change a Program option in Windows Control Panel. If for some reason direct removal fails, you can download and run the Norton Removal Tool. The Norton Removal Tool removes all the Norton products from your Windows computer. The tool can be found in the Norton Support Knowledge Base or downloaded from the URL listed. Once placed upon the system, simply run the program and follow the wizard to remove installed products. This is the Mac client removal topic. After completing this topic, you will be able to properly remove a Mac client installation. Should you need to remove an installation of Endpoint Protection Cloud from a Mac operating system, begin by attempting to directly uninstall the program by navigating to Applications, select the application, and use Move to Trash to begin the process. When prompted, click the Uninstall button. How can you remove the Mac client if initial installation fails? The product installation files contain a built-in removal tool. To use the tool, navigate to your Downloads folder, right-click on the Install Symantec Endpoint Protection file, and select Show Package Contents. Then navigate to Contents, Resources, and select the included Symantec Removal tool to execute the script. Use of the removal script requires administrator-level privileges. Once executed, allow the script to complete before rebooting the machine. You can also download a Norton removal tool for Mac from the Norton Support Knowledge Base using the URL listed. This is the Additional Support Tools topic. After completing this topic, you will be familiar with other additional available support tools. For your knowledge, here are some additional support tools that are available with links for their download and use. Should you need to use them, you can also search for these tools using Symantec Help Center from within the SEP Cloud portal. In this lesson, you learned how to obtain and use the Symantec SymDiag log gathering utility. You also learned methods to properly remove both the Windows and Mac clients, and we completed this lesson with a brief look at some additional available support tools.